Next is choosing a target function. So what function has to be learned and how it will be used for performance system by the performance system. So in checkers game, assume that we are given with a function for generating the legal moves. On a given board, like you have to make a legal move, and out of that you need to make a best move. Or you can learn the evaluation function V of B or V of board for a move, that is resultant move is R. So that gives each board position a score, how it is favorable. Say for example, in regular chess game what we are playing, there if you make a move from the soldier, and if we diagonally move a soldier and take out a opposite coin, then it will be only one single coin whichever it will be taken out, right? If you are using queen there, and if you are taking out any other coin there, like queen coin or elephant coin or like camel or horse or etc., then those coins will have, or those pawns will have more value. So the result or the score will be more. So that is what we can be used to pick up a move by applying a legal move. Now the ideal definition of the checkers game is V of B, that is board B is, so B is the winning board, that winning state will be 100. So final losing board will be like it will be minus 100, and draw means 0. No, nothing will be lost and nothing will be gained. So no loss, no win. So otherwise V of B will be so VB dash. So where VB dash is like it is in a no win, no losing position or no draw position. That means still in the computation, but you will be coming to an assumption, and optimally it will be the game will be standing like you will not win or you will not lose or you will not go for draw also. That is the board B dash. So this can be computed using the complex complete minimum max search of the finite game tree. So approximating the V of B. So computing V of B is like intraceable. So since it involves searching the complete exponential game tree. So non-operational and an operational definition can be given. In a polynomial time, we need to learn the operational approximation to the ideal evaluation function. Next, for representing the target function, so the target function can be represented in many ways, like lookup table or symbolic rules or numerical functions or neural networks. So there is a trade-off between the expressiveness of the representation and ease of learning. So the more expressive representation is there, the better the approximation of an arbitrary function will be there. So however, the more examples will be needed to learn the accurate function. Now the linear function of representing the checkers program, that is V of B, making a move from the board. So then obviously we will be using that V of B, the evaluation function will be like V of B is equal to weights from W0 to W6, W0, W1, W2, W3, W4, W5, W6 are the weights which will be adjusted, and W0 will be the coefficient with a constant 0. So then you will be making the black pieces or red pieces or black kings, etc. Those many number of pieces on or the colors of pieces you will be making on the board. You will be moving them on the board. That is, number of black pieces on the board is BP, right? Then number of red pieces on the board is RP. Then B of K is black kings, RK is red kings. So number of black pieces threatened by red kings is you will be representing as B of T, and similarly for red pieces which are threatened by black pieces will be like R of T. So RT, this is the representation, that equation we have shown here, like the representing function will be V of B will be adjusted to the weights W0 to W6 through all the black pieces and red pieces respectively. Now obtaining the training values, how we will get the training values, that is with the direct supervision may be available for the target function, that is called as supervised learning. So black pieces will be having 3, red pieces will be having the value 0, again black king will be having 1, red king will be having 0, threatened black piece will be 0, threatened red piece will be 0, and so on. This is the score of each pieces. Now total out of 100, if you are winning that, so win for the black means you will score 100. That is what it has been obtained as a training value. So with indirect feedbacks it is unsupervised learning. So the training values can be estimated using the temporarily differences which will be there, and again it will be used for reinforcement learning. So where in supervision it will be a delayed reward, but whereas in reinforcement learning there will be a direct reward. Now the temporal difference learning is like estimating the training values for intermediate or non-terminal board positions by the estimated value for their successor in an actual trace is like V of training set B will be the V of successor training set B. That is, the board V of training set B will be equivalent to the successor board of B. That is where successor B is the next board position where its programs move will be in the actual play. So if you are making a particular move from one position to another position, in the next board position it has to be ready for making another move in the actual play. So the value towards the end of the game will be initially more accurate, and continued training will be slowly backing up the accurate values to other earlier board positions. Now learning this algorithm or learning algorithm means uses the training values, what are all the training values we have obtained for the target function to induce an hypothesis definition that fits these examples, and hopefully generalizes to unseen examples. So in statistics, a linear approximation of continuous function is called as regression. That means regression is nothing but learning to approximate a continuous function. So using that statistics, we will be attempting to minimize some measure of error or loss function, such as mean square error. So or else you call it as LMS. LMS will be told next. So mean square error. So mean square error is represented here as E of the total training value V of train B and the successor board V of B by the board value of the mean square value B. Now this is what the mean square value is, the least mean square algorithm, or you call it as LMS algorithm. A gradient or descent algorithm so incrementally updates the weights of the linear function. The weight we have represented earlier in the earlier equation like W0 to W6. So it will be incrementally updated weights for a linear function in an attempt to minimize the mean square error. Now until the weights gets converged for each training example of B, so then we need to compute the absolute error. So absolute error will be like error of the board move, whatever the move we will make on the board will be from the training set of the board and the minus successor board move. That means the next move of the actual play. So for each board feature, f of I update its weight by Wi. So board feature f of I will be updated by its weight, that is Wi. So we are representing it as Wi will be is equal to Wi plus C dot f of I dot error function B. So error in the board B. So for all for some small constant, learning rate will be like C. Now the LMS executes the following rules. So it will execute the output of an example is correct, then make no changes. If the output is too high or the lower weights are proportional to the values of their corresponding features, then so overall output will be decreases. If the output is too low, then the increased weights proportional and the values of their corresponding features, so overall output will be increased. So under proper assumptions or weak assumptions, LMS can be proven to be eventually converging a set of weights that minimizes the mean square error. Next, What are all the lessons we have learned about learning? So basically these are the lessons we have learned about learning. Learning can be viewed as using direct or indirect experience to approximate a chosen target function, or else function approximation can be viewed as a search through a space hypothesis. That means representations of the function for one that best fits the training set data, right? Training set of training data. Then different learning methods will assume different hypothesis spaces, that means representing in different languages, so or else employing different searching techniques. Now there are various function representations in machine learning for the learning functions. Say there we have numerical functions. Under numerical functions we have linear regression, neural networks, support vector machines, then symbolic functions. Under symbolic functions we have decision trees, rules in propositional logic, rules in again first order predicate logic, then instance based functions. Instance based functions are nearest neighbor methods. So nearest neighbor method will be used in instance based functions and case based method. Then in the last probabilistic graphical models we will be using Naive Bayes classifier and Bayesian networks, hidden Markov models that we call it as HMMs, and probabilistic context free grammars PCFGs and Markov networks. Now here basically the highlighted blue color functions what we have highlighted here in the numerical functions, symbolic functions, instance based functions and probabilistic graphical models. Out of these, say numerical networks, support vector machines, decision trees, nearest neighbor method, Navier Bayesian classifiers and Bayesian networks are the various function represents what we will be learning in this machine learning course. And various search algorithms what we will be able to learn under this machine learning course will be gradient descent, that is perceptron and back propagation. So with the dynamic programming, HMM learning, that is again hidden Markov model learning, and PCFG learning, that we will not do, that we will not learn in this machine learning course. And again divide and conquer, again decision tree induction or decision tree we will learn, and rule learning. So evolutionary computations are there with genetic algorithms or genetic programming and neuroevolution. Those things are not in the syllabus. And evolution of learning system. How an learning system got evaluated. So evolution of learning system came into existence by two methods. One is experimental method, another one is theoretical method. Experimental is to conduct and control the cross validation of experiments, that is a control system. So comparing with the various methods of variety of benchmark data sets. So you need to gather the data sets on their performance. Performance is based on test accuracy or training time or testing time, etc. And based on these parameters data will be gathered, and you need to analyze the differences for statistical significance. Another learning system is theoretical. Theoretical is we need to analyze the algorithms mathematically and prove the theorems about their computational complexity or time complexity or ability to fit into the training set. So training data should be fit in for the training, right, or else you call it as computation. Then sample complexity is something like the number of training examples needed to learn an accurate function. Now if we check back with the history of the machine learning from the 1950s to 1960s, 1970s and up to later 2000, we have started with this checkers game and so on from 1950s, and in 1960s from neural networks, perceptron and pattern recognition and so on. In 1970s with symbolic concept of induction and so on till the mathematical discovery with AM, and by next it will go to 1980s. In 1980s of history of machine learning, it was like advanced decision tree and rule learning and expanded based learning and so on. It will go to the focus of experimental methodology. And in the later 1990s, data mining, adaptive software agents, text learning and based net learning, these things were the history of machine learning till 1990s. When it came to 2000, then people started learning about this support vector machines, or we call it as SVMs, support vector machines, kernel methods, graphical methods, statistical relational learning and so on, till the latest learning in robotics and vision. And now these are the data sets where it will be available, and earlier slide also I have shown this, like in the kdnuggets.com. If you go to kdnuggets.com for data sets, you will be getting the data sets for say neural networks or medical diagnostics or investigation of business application, etc., and or else market research and so on. Next, coming back to the supervised learning classification, I want to highlight about the example of cancer diagnosis with respect to supervised learning classification. So, in supervised learning, we do classification. For example, we have considered the diagnosis of cancer. So, there you have patient ID in the first column, like 1, 2, 3, 4, and number of tumors in a particular patient are 5, 3, 7, 2, and average area is like 20, 15, 10 and 30, and average density of the tumors will be like 118, 130, 52 and 100. And type of the diagnosis, what they have done is about like malignant and benign, okay, right, and so on. That is called as training set. And using this training set, so we need to learn how to classify the patients where diagnosis is not known, like whether it is in stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, etc. Those we need to do. Like patient ID is like again 101, 102, 103, and number of tumors are 491, and average area is there, average density is there, and diagnosis is not yet done. That means that that is called as test set. So, for the above table, which is called as training set, you will be training the machine like this is how the patient ID will be there, and this is the tumors, this is the average area, this is the average density, and this is the diagnosis you are supposed to do. That means machine will learn for patient number 1, 5 number of tumors, average area is 20 and average density is 118. It has to be diagnosed as malignant. That is the training set which will be trained with. Similarly, when you are going for the another test set, if you are giving a patient ID, yes, it will recognize the patient ID, and the number of tumors, yes, the number of tumors are 4, and average area is 16, yes, the average area is 16, then average density is 95, yes, these things will be compared with the again first training set, second training set, third training set, fourth training set of the training set table and so on. Then when it is mapping with one of the training set out of the 4 rows which are there here, 1, 2, 3, 4, if 101 is mapped with 1, then it will be diagnosed as malignant. If 101 is mapped with 2, then it will be diagnosed as benign. So, the input data is often easily obtained, whereas the classification is not done. That means the input data means patient ID, tumors, average area or average density. These things are input data which can be obtained easily. But whereas the last column is classification of the diagnosis is not obtained easily. Now the classification has to be done is the problem solving. That means the classification problem. Now goal is to use the training set plus some learning method to predict the diagnosis. That means using the predictive model to classify new data, similar to the few applications which are listed here in the table, like in the medical diagnosis, like non-invasive tests will be there as an input data, and classification you will be doing is results from invasive measurements. Then in OCR or optical character recognition, you will be checking with, input data will be scanned bitmaps. So after giving the input data as scanned bitmaps, you will be classifying it from A to Z in the OCR application. In protein folding, then you will be using amino acid construction, that means protein shapes you will check for. Then in the last research paper acceptance application, your input data will be words in paper title, then paper is accepted or rejected will be the classification. Next, to tell which type of diagnosis you need to do for the cancer application. So cancer diagnosis, then you need to identify the features. So feature identification has to be done, then diagnosis, then prognosis, and you need to quit the application, or else you would need to come out of the application. This is how the cancer diagnosis will be done with respect to the red mark area, or the area where the average density will be taken with. So average density of say something like 120, 118, 122. So 120 is having plus or minus 5 average density of tumors, then it will be grouped as malignant and so on. That is what it has been shown here in this diagram. Now you will be grouping them in the graphical representation as worst area and mean texture. So worst smoothness is shown on the left hand side, and another on the other side you will be showing it as mean texture and worst area by the classification of cancer tumors with diagnosis separation. The next application of machine learning is with respect to the revolution in robotics. Robotics in machine learning is the key area which is more popular nowadays. That is, areas that robots are used are like industrial robots, military or government and space robots, service robots for home, healthcare and laboratory. Now you can see robots in these three areas majorly every day, that is industrial robots, military robots, government and space robots, or service robots for home, healthcare and laboratory. Now why are robots used? Robots are used to check with the dangerous tasks or in hazardous environments, or repetitive tasks, or high precision tasks, or those requiring high quality of the tasks, or labor saving, and control technologies. Control technologies means autonomous, self-controlled, or remote controlled, or tele-operated. Then the usage in industry, how robots are used in industry, or you call it as industrial robots. So uses of robots in manufacturing like welding, painting, cutting, dispensing, assembling, polishing, finishing, material handling, packaging, then palletizing and machine loading, etc. Those are the pictorial representations of welding, painting, cutting, dispensing, etc. And one more usage of industrial robots is use of robots in manufacturing processes with respect to automotive and packaging industry. Next, in the area of military, government and robots, so iRobots will be used for say like bomb detection, right, and so on. Those are Remotech Andro robots. And if you want to check with the real-time implementation, then military or government robots use something like soldiers in Afghanistan have been trained to use those iRobots, how to defuse a land mining using a iRobot. Then another application of machine learning military robots is with respect to aerial drones, or you call it as UAV, unmanned aerial vehicle. So in that unmanned aerial vehicle, no human being will be there. And another one is drone. So you are very much familiar with drone. And another one is military suit. So it will be military suit will act as military robot. And more popular and familiar was the space robot, that is called as Mars rovers. So Mars rovers with spirit and opportunity, like autonomous navigation features with human remote control and oversight. So it will be having an autonomous navigation features with human remote control and oversight for Mars rovers. And when you come to healthcare sector or home or hotel, etc., then you will be having the service robots. Service robots for many users it can be used for like cleaning, housekeeping, humanitarian, demining, rehabilitation, inspection, agriculture, lawn making or surveillance, construction and so on. These are the service robots applications. In the field of medical and healthcare, so these are the surgical robots, or else Japanese healthcare assistant suit is there, that is called as HAL or hybrid assistive limb and so on. These are all the medical healthcare applications of machine learning robots. Another application is with respect to laboratory applications like drug discovery, when you are finding out drugs, then test tube sorting. So sorting the test tubes, right? The size of the test tubes will be there. You can use auto sorter. Next, commonly used machine learning applications day to day from normal human, normal person, where we don't go for scientific application, or where we do not go for military applications or medical applications. So most commonly every day a normal person will be using is something like a smartwatch or Apple phone with you can call it as Siri. Then Google Maps will be having the navigation. It will say Google Assistant, like you can turn left, turn right, or go straight, or the destination it will tell, or hey Google, and so on. Or else another simple example is whenever you are using a car seat belt, if you are not wearing the driver seat belt, then you are start driving after some 20 meters of distance. So the driver assistance in the car, it will give you a signal that please wear the seat belt, right? Seat belt, that buzzer sound will come along with the blinking of the seat belt image. So in general, the model of the learning agent, which we have defined earlier also in the class session, that there will be an environment on the other hand, and from the other end there will be an environment which will be learning from the agents. So agents is like from the critic and from the learning element and from the problem generator, and it will go to the performance element. Say from the environment it will come to the sensors, from the sensors it will come to the critic. Critic is something like decision making. From decision making it will be sent to the learning program or learning element. So from learning element it will come down to problem generator, that is like an agent. Then it will go to the performance element, where it will be checked for the performance or the achievement of the goal, that is the accuracy of the result. So real-time ML or machine learning in the real world is with respect to the major applications on decision support or learning will be with respect to Google or Orbitz or astronomy. These are the areas where you can search for real-time applications of machine learning. And working applications of machine learning are with respect to classification of mortgages or prediction of portfolio performance, electrical power control, chemical process control, character recognition, face recognition, DNA classification, credit card fraud detection, or cancer cell detection. These are the working applications of machine learning. And some of the issues in machine learning. So what are all the issues which are there in the machine learning are like what algorithms can approximate the functions well, right? And when and how does the number of training examples will influence the accuracy. That means if you take in a classroom, if you take 60 admissions and all the 60 admissions are above 90%, then it is easy to get more than 90% of the result. Right. If you take the admissions with 50%, 60%, 40%, 70%, 80%, 90%, there is the mixture of the percentage, and if you check with the accuracy, right, of those training examples, then that will be influencing in accuracy, like whether it will give you more than 90% or it will be less than 90%. So next is problem representation or feature extraction, and intention or independent learning, or integrating the learning systems. Then what are the theoretical limits of learnability, and transferring the learning, and continuous learning. These are the issues in machine learning. And next one is measuring the performance. So measuring the performance is with respect to generalization of accuracy, solution for correctness, and solution for quality. That is that means length and efficiency, and speed of the performance. And you are getting the performance, but at what speed or at what time. So whether you are getting the performance or the accuracy at minimum amount of time. That is what it is like measuring the performance. And scaling issues in machine learning. So scaling issues in machine learning are with number of inputs. How many number of inputs, or how many number of outputs, batch versus real time, training versus testing. These are the scaling issues in machine learning. Now next point is with respect to machine learning versus human learning. Say some of the machine learning can be challenged to the performance of human experts, that is playing chess. So human expert might be very much expert in playing chess game, but it might be a challenge like machine learning behavior can be very good compared to human experts who will be playing chess game. Like if you say Vishwanathan Anand is a very good or excellent chess player or a human chess expert. So even though Vishwanathan Anand will play the chess game against a computer system, right? So then it will be challenging for him to win the games. Although the machine learning sometimes matches the human learning capabilities, it is not able to learn as well as humans or in the same way that humans do. That means more number of games or practice sessions will be done from Vishwanathan Anand, right? Vishwanath Anand for playing chess game. He will be learning more better or best possible moves such that he will be knowing which is the best one. But machine learning will not be able to learn such things on its own. So it needs more practice still. So there is no claim that the machine learning can be applied in a truly creative way. So it cannot be created. So that is what is the claim you cannot do. So formal theories of machine learning systems exist, but are like more often they are lacking with the methods for success, or which will fail. It is not clear, or fails are not clear. So machine learning success is often attributed to manipulation of symbols or rather than mere numeric information. So the observations are like machine learning has many practical applications and is probably the most used method in artificial intelligence. I will repeat, so machine learning has many practical applications and is probably the most used method in artificial intelligence, and machine learning is also an active research area with respect to role of cognitive science, computational model of cognition and recognition, then role of neuroscience, that is computational model in the brain, that is called as neural networks. Brain versus mind is again something similar to hardware versus software, and nearly all the machine learning is still dependent on human guidance. So machine learning is not independent, it is still dependent on human guidance for some up to some stage or some accuracy is achieved, such that these are the observations what we have done with machine learning. Okay.